ではこちらはビルダーバーグ会議ですね。
There's a sense of purpose, a sense of higher meaning in his or her leadership. A quantum leader is a servant leader.
こちらはローマクラブです。
To serve
こちらはクリンゲール
others
機関
and
で
to
すね。
serve the world. Indeed, to serve the universe.
こちらは JIA です。日本語版で。まあ国際会合。こちらはロシア。ビルダーバーグ会議 RSB ですね。
Well, there's no simple answer to that, to the issue of
で、これがシンガポール国際関係機関です。日本語版はね、これは思いますね。ようわからんけどね。はい、もうこれがシンガポール。はい、これが三極委員会。エブライ語版ですね。どうぞ。はい、ビルダーバーグ会議ですね。はい、これがシンクタンクですね。いろいろ団体があるんやな、これ。どんだけあるんやと思った。むちゃくちゃ多いわこれ、本当に。ああ、クリンゲールか。まあ、これがね。いや、こっちや。こっちや、メインは。これ見せます。いいわ。これがビルダーバーグ会議ですね。最初ね、その三極委員会の YouTube 動画、偽物かなと思って、フェイクニュースかなと思って。そういうことでした。TikTok で何していいか初めて。
Silicon Valley provides a unique ecosystem, basically in some sense a network of having a very strong university that's very applied, that is all about working with the real world, doing basic research and then trying to put that basic research into the society, into the good. An important thing, I think, is also that it's a social network of sharing. Is that basically in California there is no non-competes, so people move around freely, and this means that the flow of innovation is much faster. The other important thing is the size, the critical mass, again, of very large amounts of talent, so that companies can be scaled up very quickly. For example, in my own experience, I started working with Pinterest when there was less than 200 of us. 3 years later, there is a few thousand of us. And the company culture and everything was lost, and the new people got hired. And then I think the last thing is that universities as well as kind of companies focus less on protecting their IP and really trying to move as fast as possible. Because if we think about innovation is about moving fast, and it's not so much about building walls and figuring out how to do the next step very carefully. It's really about running and iterating fast. And if we run and iterate fast, then the success will be there, and kind of little meters don't matter that much. And I think this is important from the viewpoint of university, letting the research be put in the public domain and really benefit the environments in which the university's professors operate, as well as in terms of companies sharing the information and flow of people with each other. So there is, for example, in Silicon Valley, a lot of different seminars, people from one company visiting the other company, sharing quite openly actually what they are doing, writing academic papers, again talking about their latest solutions, so that we are all up to date and the entire system can kind of help each other in terms of making the most innovation and the most progress in the short amount of time. Because I think the question is not can we innovate, but the question is, or can we invent something, but the question about innovation is can we be the first ones to do something. So it's as much about the speed as it is about the substance.
音楽付きの動画アウトらしいな。すぐ不正通報食らうらしい。
We had a really good discussion today. Reviving the European dream is what we really want. The next year will be the election for the European Union, for the Parliament of the European Union, and it is really important that there will be a strong mandate. One of the challenges we are facing at the moment is still the migration crisis. And also the priority of the Austrian presidency is security and the fight against illegal migration. So we had a good discussion today on all these topics. And of course, there are different opinions on this. But in general, we always have to say on the same line. We want to have a solution for the European Union and for Europe. Safe external borders and legal migration, because Europe will need it in the end. But people still have in front of their eyes the migration flood in 2015, and therefore it's really important to have a good solution, and a solution which will be implemented in all the countries of the European Union to have a resilient European asylum system.
これじゃあ成功したよね。お金の代償が成功したよね。
Migration is currently one of the key issues of European citizens, and
お
my
か
view
しく
is
さ
that
あ
it
11
remains
月の延長はさあまずもう出入国規制食らうからそれ狙ってわざと延長してる。
increase in numbers and complexity because of the political consequences
こういうことで
of
した。
wars,
皆さんそうでし
terrorism,
た。
but also because of
自由
the
じゃん。
climate
これじゃあ
change.
抵抗してん。
I think, in my view, migration is needed in Europe. I think it's something that we can benefit from, and I think that we need to change the narrative on this. First and foremost, us as politicians. Actually, the demographic of Europe says that migration is something that we will need in the future in order to maintain and grow our economic development, the quality of life. And I think that we should also go back to the European shared values and the human values that are, I think, the foundation stone of Europe, so that together we can change, as I said, the narrative and help these people, but also help ourselves grow and develop further. Thank you.
Turkey belongs to European family. You know, there is no way that Turkey can distance itself from the realities of Europe. Today, of course, at the Trilateral Commission, we are going to discuss three scenarios: confrontation, cooperation, and membership of Turkey to the EU. In these three scenarios, of course, there are different outcomes. But I would say that confrontation between Turkey and the EU is a complete lose-lose scenario. And if it is only cooperation instead of membership of Turkey to the EU, this will be some sort of limited cooperation, and it will be a scenario in which both Turkey and the EU will not be able to enjoy the full potential. In economics, we say, this is not cost effective at all. But when it comes to EU membership, I would say that this will mean full use of potential of Turkey and the EU together. This means a stronger, stable, respected, fully democratic Turkey, but this also means in the world scene a global actor of EU, peace bringing EU, welfare creating EU, employment creating EU. So I would say that in this case, membership case, the outcome would be win, win, win. So win for Turkey, win for the EU, but also a win for beyond.
You will have to define what you mean by Europe and the European Union having its own army. I do not think Europe needs its own army for what I would qualify as the classical Article 5 NATO scenario, in other words, in a conflict with Russia. But Europe should definitely, the European Union should definitely develop the possibility to project hard power without the United States of America. I can imagine a scenario in Northern Africa where you have a combination of terrorism, climate change, migration. It's an ungoverned part of Africa, largely, where Boko Haram meets Al-Qaeda, where Al-Qaeda meets Daesh. In other words, it's not impossible. Look at the French and what they did and are doing in Mali, that you would need to intervene militarily, and then the European Union would be on its own. Second scenario, virtual but not impossible, when in the Balkans the demons of the past would raise again. And we should not repeat the situation like we had in the 90s of the previous century, where finally Bill Clinton and the United States of America had to come in to stabilize the situation. I could think about the need for border protection, external border protection, with military means. You're a bit on the border here between the military and the military police, the gendarmerie in French. In other words, if that is meant by President Macron and Chancellor Merkel with a European army, I can follow them. What we should not forget, by the way, is when you talk about European military intervention, that's why I like the qualification European army not much, is that there will always be national parliaments who will decide if those soldiers will be sent into harm's way. So they will not, I hope, talk about a European command and a European parliament which decides this goes to the heart of the sovereignty of nations, and those nations will want to decide themselves. I see the way out as presented by President Macron of France, the European Intervention Initiative, where you can build coalitions of the willing outside the EU institutions. You can build coalitions of the willing, which you will always need for such kind of military operations. Advantage of a coalition of the willing is that after Brexit, you can keep Great Britain on board, because they will not anymore be a member of the European Union. At the same time, PESCO, the Permanent Structures Cooperation, should of course continue. Important project, but rather bureaucratic and rather cumbersome. So that would be my answer to the question, does Europe need its own army?
What can we do in order for democracy to survive? So I would like that to be